How'd you come up with this?
Okay, well, actually, this was years ago. My sous chef was getting married, and her family was all Italian. We were doing a big dinner at my restaurant for her, and they wanted minestrone, but we didn't want to serve 2 meat courses, so I came up with a lobster minestrone.
I like that idea.
Well, this is even...
You didn't bring lobster today, you brought clams.
Then I worked it into a seafood minestrone, and basically I can take minestrone and make it out of almost any seafood. Today we're making it out of clams.
All right.
I started by taking some beautiful pancetta. If you don't have that, you can use salt pork. Do not use smoky bacon, though. Salt pork or pancetta. And render it in a little olive oil till it starts to get brown. And then add a little bit of garlic, and I like to let the garlic cook just for 10 seconds first to kind of expand the flavor. And then I'm adding onions, carrots. All my vegetables are cut paisan, or peasant-style cut.
Peasant-style. Let's explain that to them so that they know what that means.
All right. So this is a...
I'll stir and you show the cut.
This is a peasant dish. So you want everything to look
uniform,
like it wasn't done by a professional chef.
Right. So on an
angle.
What
I do is I did it with the carrot. Just take the celery or zucchini. This is beautiful baby zucchini, but you can do it with a larger piece too. And just turn it about 2/3 each time, and you get this
nice cut.
This funny little peasant-style cut.
Okay. So minestrone, as we were talking earlier, means a big soup.
A big soup. Big soup in a big pot.
In a big pot. So this is a good, innovative way to do this.
So, do you mind chopping a little cabbage for me?
No, I will do the cabbage for you.
And in the meantime, I'm cutting up some potatoes the same way. Now, a couple things that happened before we started the show is we soaked the beans overnight, and I used cannellini beans. You could use dry lima beans if you wanted. Soak them overnight and then cook them until they're well done in water, not salted water, plain water. And then if you want to be fussy, you can pick through the beans and take the very best beans and save them for the soup, and take half of the beans out and you mash them, and that helps to lightly thicken the soup.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's a great idea.
Do you mind doing that for me?
I'll mash those for you. There's your cabbage when you need it.
So
you could use a different bean, though, if you didn't want to use cannellini, couldn't you? Could you use like a chickpea?
Yes, you could use chickpea. You could use. You could even use it in a can if you didn't want to go through the whole process.
Yeah.
But you definitely want to have them some of them mashed up.
All right. So what happens next?
Okay. So the vegetables are now getting soft from sautéing them in the olive oil and the fat, and so next I'm going to add the potatoes. And the cabbage.
Here's the cabbage all ready to go.
Yep, beautiful. The other thing we did ahead was we cooked clams the same way you did it for the vongole. Only I used all straight water, 2 cups of water for 5 pounds of clams, and I made a really rich broth, which I'm going to use, and cabbage, potatoes, now the clam broth. And a little bit of wine, if you can.
Here's a little bit of dry white wine that can go in. You can use any wine that you like to drink, you can cook with, right, Jasper?
Pretty much, yeah.
You wouldn't buy cooking wines as such.
No, never buy cooking wines. Now, I didn't add tomatoes because tomatoes kind of change the way potatoes cook. So it is going to have potatoes, but we're going to add them towards the tomatoes towards the end. So this we want to bring up to a boil, and we'll add the mashed beans now,
Now, how mashed do these have to be?
That's good.
Is that good?
That's good, yeah.
Okay, good.
If you had a food mill, you could pass them through a food mill, or you could put them in a blender, or you could just do it.
There you go.
Here, I'll take the fork, too. But that's nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's the first step.
So that's your thickener. Okay,
now,
good.
Now, because the clams really have their own salt, and the pancetta, this dish will probably not need any salt at all.
We'll test it later to make sure.
So we'll bring that up to a boil. In about 5–10 minutes, the potatoes get soft, and then we'll finish it up.
Okay, sounds good. How's it looking?
It's great. I just tested the potatoes, and they're soft.
Okay.
In the meantime, we chopped all the clams that we steamed, and now this is the kind of the second stage. The bean paste is in here from the mashed beans, and it lightly thickens it. Now I'm going to add the whole beans to this soup.
This soup has a lot of nice texture going.
A lot of great, wonderful stuff in it.
Okay.
It's so much fun to eat.
Nah.
and make, actually. The zucchini.
Yes, because that cooks in less time.
That cooks very fast. That could
Yeah.
almost cook.
And gives nice color.
Yeah, and then some tomatoes. If it's summer, you could use ripe tomatoes.
Are these plum?
This is a mix of fresh tomatoes with a little extra juice from the can.
Okay.
And it gives it a nice pink color.
Well,
and
it's
it
beginning
adds
to look
a lot
like
of
minestrone.
flavor. It sure is. And then, if we weren't on television, I'd let it simmer maybe 5 minutes, but this isn't going to make a big difference. But now add the chopped clams, and you want them to cook just a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't want to make them rubbery, but you want them to, the flavor of these clams to
nice
get
and thick.
into the soup. And then either Swiss chard or spinach, which I blanched and chopped. And that goes in at the very end.
Very healthy.
So look how beautiful that is.
It's gorgeous. You
All
want to
those
add some
great
herbs?
ingredients. Fresh basil,
Yeah.
and then I will taste it for salt. If I could
Okay,
have
let me
little
get you a
tasting
spoon.
It's pretty rare that it's going to need salt. And then, you know, depending on your taste, you could put a little of your hot paste in there if you like it a little spicy.
Good.
It's got a great salt, so that's perfect. I think it needs a little more pepper.
All right.
And now, like any good soup, if it sits a little bit, you know, for up to a half hour, an hour, it just improves as it sits.
Probably be better the next day too, huh?
Yeah, it would be fine the next day. Yeah, it will keep improving and keep getting a richer flavor, but right as soon as everything's in there, the flavors haven't blended yet, so you want to allow at least a half hour.